DCI's fight against crime in the country has today received a major boost after a donation of 4 vehicles from the United States through the US Africa Command. The vehicles were handed over by Mr. Joseph Kelams, a top official from the US Embassy who was representing the Drug Enforcement Administration DEA country attaché in a ceremony held at the DCI headquarters. Mr. Kelams lauded the ongoing cooperation between the United States and the Kenya foremost investigative agency in the fight against transnational organized crimes, adding that the vehicles would specifically complement DCI's mobility efforts in the fight against drugs trafficking. While receiving the vehicles, the DCI Deputy Director Mr. Ireri Kamwenda acknowledged the immense support that the Directorate had continued to receive courtesy of the US Embassy in Nairobi, adding that the donation would go far in boosting the Directorate effectiveness in responding to contemporary security challenges in the country. Mr. Kamwende was representing the DCI Director Mr. Mohammed Amin, who was engaged in other duties. The US official was accompanied by other high-ranking officers from Homeland Security including Mrs. Brian McHasson and Chris Line, among others.
Is to ensure that the motor vehicles that are ferrying goods within through our country, but within the East African community space, these vehicles first are secure along the routes within our country, from Mombasa to Malaba, from Isebania, Busia border, and the like. What this unit does is to carry out patrols along the highways to ensure seamless flow of traffic along the northern corridor, to ensure the goods that are being ferried are secure, and to ensure that and also to assist transit vehicle drivers if they are in need in case of a breakdown, to ensure the goods are not stolen. And this unit also guards against offenses such as fuel siphoning, which has been rampant in the past from transit vehicles, and the instructions that the police officers who are deployed by the Kenya Police Service Traffic Department along the northern corridor is to ensure that in the absence of a cognizable offense, police officers have been directed that in the absence of a cognizable offense, not to stop transit vehicles, because that would cause delays and that would affect the free movement of goods and will impact negatively on trade. This country has hosted refugees for 35 plus years, and these refugees have been in this country for this long, and I think Kenya is one of the countries in the world that has received an inordinately or a disproportionate share of the burden of carrying refugees world over. It has quite a big load, and not just the numbers, but also the length of time in which they have been in this country. The breakdown of where those refugees come from is provided on page 5 of my statement, but basically there are 2 major caseloads. Somalia, since 1990, the breakdown of that country caused an influx of people. They continue coming, and then of course South Sudan, because of the war there. The biggest numbers are from those countries, but we have also refugees from other countries as provided for in the table on page 5. Many of them are in the camps, and we have 2 major camps, the one in Dadaab and the one in Kakuma, and I've provided the number of refugees in each of those areas. Recently there have been an upsurge, and we are expanding the camps in Garissa, in Dadaab, because we've realized that we have a big load of people who have come, fresh asylum seekers, and over 100,000 of them are being processed. We have processed nearly the same number, so we are going to witness an upsurge of this refugee issue, especially on the Dadaab side. We have struggled with a long-term solution for this refugee issue. It's not an entirely Kenyan issue, it's an international issue. And therefore we remain alive to the obligations that the country has under the 1951 UN Convention on the Status of Refugees and the protocol to that convention, as well as the 1969 OAU Convention, now African Union Convention, relating to specific aspects of refugee problems in Africa. And basically we've been very faithful, and we've been very faithful not only to the international instruments that are applicable, but also to our own obligations under our constitution and the laws of our country. And in this regard, in 2021, the government processed a new legislation, the Refugees Act of 2021. That act envisages a policy shift of how we manage refugees in this country. And it is aimed at doing two broad things, Chair. One is to broaden the rights and the benefits that refugees can accrue, including socio-economic rights. But the way the Act is wired is to ensure that even as refugees access socio-economic benefits, the same rights must be matched with the host communities, so that you don't create a discrepancy where the same challenges the refugees are going through exist in the host communities, yet the host communities is not being attended to. So for example, when we supply relief food in the refugee camp, we make sure that the same relief food is available to the host communities. So we have a new law. One major policy aim of that law is to expand the benefit scope for refugees. And secondly, the law looks at providing the durable solutions, including local integration where possible, resettlement, of course, which traditionally is a durable solution, and repatriation in appropriate cases. But going by the experience we've had for the last 35 years, it appears that we might have to move towards local integration of a substantial number of the refugees, especially those that have been in this country for nearly 4 decades now. So what are we doing? At the moment, we are processing the regulations under the Act, and I know the PS for the State Department for Refugee Affairs, together with the Commissioner, is here. They have already approached this committee, I think, for pre-publication engagement, so that to agree on the regulations that will operationalize the Refugees Act of 2021. We have also developed what we are calling the Shirika Plan, some form of Marshall Plan on durable solutions for refugees. And this plan has received some support, even internationally, from the World Bank and other development partners. The aim is to improve the existing camps, especially the Dadaab cluster of camps and the Kakuma cluster of camps, turn them into municipalities
kupeana hati miliki. Your Excellency, mambo za ardhi na ulituamuru kwa leo tuko na schemes mbili. Scheme ya majani polo ambayo title zao ziko tayari zote, titles ambazo tunafaa kuzitoa zote, Your Excellency. Titles 1700 ni titles za wananchi na zile zingine ni titles za public utility. Tuko na scheme ya Banita ambaye kwa muda sana imekuwa na mambo mengi kabla ya mwaka kuisha. Na Your Excellency, tutafanya hivyo ndio tuhakikishe kila wajumbe ambao wako hapa na pengine tu kutambua area MCA.